Welcome back to another episode of Queens Behind the Scenes, the podcast where we empower queens to lead, transform, and shine. I'm your host, Sharice Beckett, and today's episode is all about leveling up, not just professionally, but personally too. We're calling this one the Executive Glow Up because today we're sitting down with the incredible Lisa Baker. Lisa is an executive coach. She's a powerhouse when it comes to helping leaders grow in their careers while staying true to themselves. She's also my executive coach. Even the coach needs a coach, even the coach needs a coach. She's here to share some mindset shifts and strategies and stories that helped her go through corporate. And now she's an executive, thriving entrepreneur. And she's going to teach us how we can apply some of those lessons to our own journey. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sharice. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Oh my gosh. If first of all, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because you have helped me so much realize like my capabilities and all of these things. And I mean, I guess that's what a coach is supposed to do, but you have been over and beyond anything I could have asked for as a coach. I'm going to be so mad when it ends, but it's not going to end because you're still going to be my friend.
Yes. And thank you. I really appreciate that. That's why I'm here, right? So hearing that kind of feedback just reaffirms that I'm in the right place, that I'm doing what I was meant to do.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'm going to ask you this question just to lead us off about your background. Just can you walk us through, just like I know you've been a corporate executive in Fortune 500 companies. Just walk us through your career journey briefly.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So this will date me, right? When I started my career right out of college, my first job was working for household finance. I was in a sales management training program, and my starting salary was $14,100 a year. Go me.
Okay.
I share that because I want to encourage people not to despise the day of small beginnings. That was my small beginning. But through my career, Household had an opportunity to do a number of different roles. I worked for them for 7 years. I went and worked in several financial services organizations. I describe them as kind of the usual suspects in financial services. So I worked for Bank One. I worked for Citigroup a couple of times because they bought or merged with companies that I was working for. Also worked at Microsoft for about 7 years. So I would say that I have a fintech background. I was blessed to work in different functional areas throughout my career. So sales, marketing, underwriting, a number of different areas. And without me really understanding it at the time, all of that was preparing me for the final role that I had in corporate America as a general manager. So I was the senior vice president and general manager for eBay and PayPal's credit programs. So $2.5 billion business that I was ultimately running. So coming from my small little job, being an executive in corporate America, being one of only a handful of African Americans and even fewer African American women who were at that senior executive level.
Love to hear it. Well, now you're a coach and you're an executive coach. So what inspired you to make the leap from corporate into your own business and coaching people like me?
Wow. Listen, first of all, I did not have any plans of starting a business, becoming a coach. What I knew, though, was corporate America was starting to feel like it didn't really fit me just right anymore.
Yeah.
I loved the company I was working for. Synchrony was a great company, still is a great company to work for. I had a number of leaders there that supported me in my career, and I was doing well. But there was something in my heart truly that said, surely there's more than this. And what I was sensing in that is I wasn't as excited about making another really big corporation even bigger.
Right. You weren't interested in that.
And personally, I was like, yeah, I could go and take whatever the next role was, a bigger role, a bigger client portfolio. But why? What would I get out of that? Where would my personal growth in that be? And I really wasn't seeing it. And so as I started to listen to my own self, right, that inner voice that starts really small that says, what if I did something else? What would that look like? And so I just knew it was time to do something else. but I took a big leap. It was truly a leap of faith. During COVID, we offered a voluntary severance program in an effort to get people to take a package so that we wouldn't have to lay off as many people involuntarily.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, maybe this is my chance. And so
Hmm.
I raised my hand to take the severance package. And honestly, Sharice, I had no plans for what I was going to do. I just knew that this was an opportunity for me to take a leap, bet on myself, trust my faith that I would be okay. And so I took the package. And shortly after leaving Synchrony, having some downtime and that white space, as I call it, where there's nothing on your calendar, it's just white space.
Yep.
That gave me time to really think about who I am, what matters most to me, where I found the most joy in my career. And I quickly started to realize that the part of my jobs that I've always loved the most didn't matter what company I was working for or what level I was at in that organization. I love helping other people to grow, whether it was growing my clients' businesses as I was doing, or helping the people that worked for me or people that I mentored or helped sponsor, helping them grow and achieve their goals. That's what gives me joy. That's what makes my heart sing. So now, as a coach, I get to do that all day. My
Yes.
job is helping other people grow, thrive, and achieve their dreams. I absolutely love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that. Well, let's get into the heart of today's conversation, the executive glow up. It's a catchy phrase that I came up with, but I know it's about so much more than just a title change or a bigger paycheck. So let's dive on in. So first of all, how did you personally experience your executive glow up during your corporate career?
Wow. Listen, it was a long journey for me. And it truly was. I was never one of those people who had a long-term plan for my career. So there are some people, and God love them, who say, I'm in this role now, and 2 years from now, I want to do
Yeah,
this.
I don't do
5
that.
years, I want to do that. I
Right.
never had that plan. Part of that was because of my background. I was the first in my family to do a lot of the things that I was doing. And so I didn't have a path that was previously set out before me that I was following. So it's kind of just figuring out as I went. And the way I decided on roles was what felt right at the time. So it felt right because maybe I was tired of the previous role and I was like, it's time for me to do something else. And so I started looking, or someone in an organization noticed me and they said,
Hmm.
tapped me on the shoulder and offered an opportunity or mentioned something to me that I hadn't even considered. But the thing that was common, no matter what role I chose, that was always in there is I was willing to try something new, willing to listen to someone who had an opportunity, even if I wasn't really sure about it. And over time, in making those decisions one at a time, my career gradually started to grow. And as I built my brand, right, I came to be known as someone who could be counted on to get things done. Like a
Hmm.
lot of us when we start, right, we're the go to person on our team.
Reliable.
Yes, exactly. And that will get you pretty far in your career. And then you'll hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
And I figured that out like most people do. You're like, I'm doing all of the things that I'm asked to do. I'm taking on this extra work. I have stretch assignments that I'm doing. And yet,
All the things.
all the things,
All the
but my
things.
career seems to be stalled. And I figured out by observing people around me and kind of learning the hard way that the reward for good work is not promotion. I'm going to say it
It's
again. The
more work.
reward, that's it. It's more
It's
work.
more work.
It's more work. When you become known as someone who's the go-to person, the one you can count on to get things done, they'll get it done no matter what. I know I can give it to Sharice. She'll be able to do it.
Yep.
Reese becomes the person who just gets all the stuff to do and is not considered necessarily a leader, someone who's ready for an executive role. You're seen as the go to person, and go to people just have things given to them. So, what I quickly observed is I needed to pick my head up and stop being so focused on the doing and shift from doing to being and becoming. Being a leader, becoming someone who has executive presence, being someone who other leaders can see at the table with them, right? Someone who could hold my own in leadership discussions. That's what gets you promoted. thought leadership, executive presence, being self-aware, right? Having some external awareness. Those are the things that will get you promoted. Letting people know you. That was the other lesson I had to learn. Because for many of us,
yeah, you know what we're told. Don't you go to work, you do your work, you go home.
and you come home, don't tell them people
Your business.
their business. Those are things we heard growing up, right? We don't air our dirty laundry. We just don't. And that lesson that we learned, those messages that we heard from our parents or grandparents or those around us, worked for them in their time. But if we take that to heart and make it our belief, it will absolutely hinder us because people promote people that they know, like, and trust. If I don't know you, well, how can I really like you? If I don't get to know you well enough that I come to like you, I certainly can't trust you.
Yeah.
So we have to allow ourselves to be known. We've heard the saying, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, that's not fully true either.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to know some things, but it's who knows you. Who is willing to speak on your behalf when you're not present?
Yeah. Man, I have so many things. So, I just did an episode that's going to air this Wednesday about personal brand. It was just by myself and talking about your personal brand. And how do because you just talked about executive presence, and I think that goes into that branding portion of you, and so does what you reveal about yourself at work. Now, nobody's saying overshare. Don't nobody want to know, last week I was on my period. People don't want to know that.
No, we don't need to know that.
Nobody need to know that. But you can be more vulnerable and a little bit more open. And when we talk about personal brand, how important is that in the grand scheme of it all?
If there is a scale from 1 to 10, your personal brand is a 12.
Right.
No, truly, it's very important. Whether we're talking about us as leaders, as individuals, our personal brand, whether you're talking about the organization that you work for and its brand, think about the brands that you know and love.
Yeah.
Think about brands that are recognized. You just see the logo and you know it, or you hear the read the tagline, you know who it is. They have put lots of time, money, energy, effort, the big dollars into building their brand, making it recognizable, making sure that it's consistent. That's how they become leaders, right? In business. It's no different for us as individuals. There is a brand that is Lisa L. Baker. And the thing about our personal brands is you, just like businesses have to test it in the marketplace, you need to invest some time, energy, effort into knowing what your brand is, because what you think it is and what others perceive may not be the same. There's likely a gap. Now, it's okay if it's a narrow gap, but we can't have a gap that's wide enough to drive a Mack truck through. That's a problem.
Right. Because you clearly aren't self-aware.
Right. That's why self-awareness is one of those factors for someone who's able to be promoted. You have to be clear about who you are, first of all. Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you value? What matters to you? What are you good at? What are you better at than anybody else? Really being clear about that and articulating it in a way that others can understand, and showing up in a way that's consistent with that. And doing that over time is how you become known and build your brand.
That is facts. I just went through a brand rebrand. I would say I went through a rebrand. I started 2025 in a new space. And I think I had told you about this, but I was starting the podcast. I was starting my coaching. I was starting all these things. And I also was I did the 360. So I have data now that tells me how I show up and what my brand is. And luckily it was a narrow gap in what I thought about myself. However, I said, this is what I want. I want to be able to come to work. I want to be known as the woman who dresses to the T every day. Now it could be in jeans. I can give you, what did Beyonce say? I can give you high fashion in a simple white tee. Okay. But it needs to be crisp and it needs to be me. And so what I said, and not that I ever dressed poorly. Like I like fashion. I was always dressed, but it was different when I was like, I put my clothes out every night and I'm really deliberate about the colors that I wear. And I'm really deliberate about the lipstick that I wear with the colors and how my hair looks. And I can tell you that has shifted the way people interact with me, period.
Absolutely.
It does. It has shifted the way people, and not just men, everybody. It changes how they approach you, how they talk to you, what you're invited to,
Absolutely.
all the things.
It does. And I will tell you, especially in this day and time that we're in now, where we're often like this, over meeting each other over technology, whether it's Zoom or however we're meeting, people have lowered their standards of dress and speech and a lot of things. I cannot tell you how many times I've been on with a client or someone else, and what I see in the background is less than appealing, or they've shown up in a way that they never would show up if they were coming to a face-to-face meeting. But
Yeah.
it still matters. I knew I was meeting with you today and going to be recording, so I made my hair a little bit higher for you. I put on a blazer. I don't always have on a blazer, but I always have a statement necklace or big earrings. Something that's just part of my brand and the way I show up. But it really does matter. It's how you look, how you sound. Can I envision you fitting in to the space that you want to be in? And so you have to look at what's the norm for your industry, for the level that you want to be on, and then add your personal flair to it, right?
Yep.
Not every executive in the spaces that I worked had hair like mine. That's me. That's unique to me. But they were all dressed a certain way. There was a certain style of dress that was appropriate in our environment. And so I dressed that way and put my flair on it. It matters. It still matters how you show up, especially because when you're not there, when you're not in the room, it's like the play Hamilton, right? One of my favorite songs from the play is "The Room
Where It Happens."
Right? I want to be in the room
where it happens. Yeah.
But most often we're not in the room where it happens. When decisions are being made about promotions, when organizations are talking about adding a new division or restructuring, or there's some new big project that's on the horizon, often you're not in the room because maybe that happened at the board meeting. Maybe that happened only with members of the C-suite and you're not there yet. But when those conversations come up, who in the room brings you with them because they speak your name in the room and say, you know what? This new division that we're planning to begin, I think Sharice would be great to head that division up. Somebody in the room, if you're not there, needs to bring you into the room. And when they do, what will be said of you? You need to know.
Yeah. And I talk about that in this week's podcast about, like, it's not about caring what other people, like, I don't care what you think of me, like, but I do care what you think of me. Like, I do care how I show up. So I care how I show up. So I care more about me than you do. So I'm gonna show up how I want to. That's the idea I have in my head though, right? Yeah. Like I care about me the most. So I should be showing up how I want my brand to show up.
Yeah, that's right. May I say it this way? Right? One, you absolutely have to care about your personal brand and manage it, protect it, market it like any major corporation would market their brand. And it's this: you don't own people's perception, but you do own your presentation.
There it is. That is a great way to, and I've been struggling to try to put that together. Yes, you do own how you show up. That is all on you.
I have a choice for the words that I choose to use, the tone in which I choose to speak them. I have a choice about how I dress, how I style my hair, all of that is fully within my control. I'm 100% in control of what I say about myself. So often our own words conflict with the brand that we want to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to be seen as a leader, you want to be seen as someone who's strategic, who's ready for executive level, then when I ask, do you have a perspective? What are your thoughts about this? You can't say,
Well,
I don't know, or I haven't thought about that. You have to be ready for the moment. And that comes with doing the things every day,
yeah, yeah.
embodying leadership presence that you want to have that aligns with the brand that you want to portray so that people's perceptions will hopefully align with your presentation.
It's about alignment. And I said that it is about alignment. Now I'm going to shift gears and talk about this glow up in a different way. How we leverage our relationships. So that is another thing. And we just talked about that. Like I felt like during the coaching that I have with you, I've received much more than I have with any relationship professionally that I've had. Like I've maybe, yeah, pretty much all of, because you gave me so many tools that have made my podcast, my work environment successful. And so how important is that in the executive glow up? Like how important are those relationships and bringing people along? How important is that?
Yeah, it's very important. Relationships really are everything. And let me go back and say thank you for saying that. I'm happy that I've been helpful, but that is also part of the brand that I want to have, because connections, that's the foundation of my coaching practice, because I believe that everything we will ever have will come through another person. I defy you to think of anything that you have that you didn't first receive from someone else.
Nothing. I mean, even this microphone right here, somebody told me to get it.
Somebody manufactured it, somebody
Yeah.
marketed it. Everything will come through people. And so you have to get really good at building relationships and maintaining them. And the higher up you go in any organizational structure, the more important your ability to influence and connect becomes. So my brand personally, because it's part of my story. Early on in my career, coming up in financial services, when I was often the only woman or the only Black person. And so I didn't have people who looked like me to mentor me, sponsor me, support me. I did have mentors along the way, and I am so grateful for them. I really am. But I had to find a lot of things out the hard way because the people didn't look like me. So their experience was very different, and they couldn't help in the way that I needed it. Right?
They didn't have the same lived
They
experiences.
didn't
And
have the
yeah,
experience. They were great people, not taking anything away from them. I wouldn't be where I am today were it not for all the people along the way who helped me to be in this seat.
yeah,
And at the same time, there was more that I needed that would have
yeah.
made the journey easier than it was. I would likely have reached the senior executive rank sooner had I learned some things earlier. I had support, different kind of support along the way. So for me, it's very important. Ever wanted to be as hard for the next person coming behind me, and certainly not the next woman of color. I don't want her to have the same difficulties that I had. If I've already experienced something or tried something that I can share and offer to her, why not? Why
And
not?
I appreciate that so much because it has helped me. And also, it helped me be similar. It helped me want to help. It helped me want to be like, I want to bring this person along. I actually had a 30-minute consultation this weekend with a woman who she wanted me to be her mentor. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I will do that. Like, I will do that because if I can help you now, if I didn't have the bandwidth, obviously I wouldn't be able to do it, but I have the bandwidth and I am able to do it. And it made me feel so good that I was able to help. Someone thought of me in that way. And also I actually have the tools to help somebody else maybe not have to struggle a little like how I had to in the beginning of not having really much support. And my last organization I was in, I had an amazing boss. I told you, she was great. And so she helped craft the person that I am as a leader. And so it is so important to have like somebody and no matter what level you're at, that coach or somebody that's advocating for you. And that'll bring me to the next point about sponsorship.
Yes, you need sponsorship. Now
Yeah.
yeah. We often talk about mentors and mentorship, and that is excellent. We need that. So the way I think about these roles, if you will, is I think of them as your personal board of directors. Corporations, organizations have boards, right? So if you are a brand, we've been talking about your personal brand, you need a board. right? To help steer the brand that is you. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the most significant roles on that board is a sponsor. That sponsor is the person I describe as having the juice. They're the one who is definitely in the room where it happens. This is the person who has the influence, the level that they can recommend you for a job, that they can hire you into a position, that they can connect you with the person who can connect you to where you need to be. That's a sponsor. And they are willing to recommend you, willing to hire you because they know, like, and trust you because you've built that relationship. Your brand is such that you stand out. Now, unlike a mentor where the person that called and spoke with you and said, hey, would you be my mentor? And you said yes, you really can't go up to a person and say, hey,
Can you be my sponsor?
sponsor me.
No, it's not a
It
thing.
doesn't work like that. You earn sponsorship because of your brand. Your brand will get you noticed. Your brand is what will make you stand out in the crowd. And it has to be unique and distinct so that you set yourself apart from everyone else. And the way you do that, in my opinion, is by operating in your area of greatness. That is the place where your strengths, passions, and your purpose converge. In that space where your purpose, passion, and strengths are all perfectly aligned, you shine brightly and there is no competition because no one else has the same combination of those three as you. There are other people who have similar strengths, but they don't have the same passion. They may be passionate about similar things, but they don't have the same purpose that you have. You are unique in that way. And so when you're operating in your giftedness and you're showing up in your greatness, you stand out from a crowd. You're delivering great work. We know that because otherwise you wouldn't still be employed.
Right.
The reward is your paycheck and more good work for you to do.
Right.
Right? So if you're staying employed and paid, that means you're doing your job to at least a certain degree that keeps you employed. Now you want to stand out, you want to show up and glow up. It's having a stellar brand, being recognized as someone who's a thought leader in the business, someone who is self-aware, someone who has a vision, strategy for themselves, for their team. That's what will get you noticed and get you sponsorship.
How do you think that your brand plays into your personal life and your brand? How do you think that that intersection of your
Mhm.
personal life and your professional life and your brand?
Oh
Like
my
how
God.
is
I'm so glad that you asked that because for the longest time I was trying to keep these things separate. Like there's the work persona and there's the other persona, Lisa at home. We need to get these things merged.
merge them, align them?
Bring them together truly because that's where you're going to be most effective. When I stopped trying to do the things that I thought I should do to be seen, to be promoted, when I made the decision to just be fully myself, be true to who I am, and show up as my full, complete self, that's when my career changed.
Wow.
Truly. When I stopped worrying about, well, maybe I won't be seen as a leader if I keep my hair natural. Maybe I need to relax my hair. Or maybe I have to, I mean, it's the sales role, but I don't talk numbers like this person does. And I don't think that way. Yeah, I don't talk numbers the way that.
Because that's not what I
Right.
do.
That's not how I speak. That's not how I think. Okay.
Right.
No, I don't look like that person. That's a good thing.
Because I'm me.
Because I'm me. When you get really clear about who you are, what you value, and the value that you bring to the business, what's the impact that you have on the organization? When you can talk about what you deliver, the impact that you make, as opposed to the thing that you did, that makes a difference. When you are consistently yourself. So if you go to McDonald's, if you go to McDonald's in my neighborhood or McDonald's in your neighborhood or McDonald's in another state, the Big Mac is always 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. That's what makes it a Big Mac. So,
It
but
is.
whatever your brand is, you need to show up that way every time. Consistency is important so that everyone who comes in contact with you has a similar experience. They're saying similar things about the value that you deliver. I wanted to be the kind of leader that people wanted to work for. If there was a role open on my team and someone said, "Hey, do you know Lisa Baker?" I wanted them to say, "Yes, if you get a chance to work for her, you really should."
I love that. Yeah.
That's the kind of leader I wanted to be. I wanted to be known as someone who promoted people that maybe others wouldn't have thought of for promotion, because
Hmm.
that's my superpower. Now, that's the thing that I know I'm better at than most. I have the ability to see more for people and envision more for them often than they can see for themselves. And then I'm able to encourage them and support them, mentor, sponsor them to help them achieve that thing that they didn't even fully realize is possible. And that's how I became known. Somebody would say they had a conversation with me and I said something to them that impacted them. I don't even remember the conversation. I'm just being me,
Who
not
you are.
doing, I'm being. And that's the thing that we miss, the being. Be who you are everywhere you go, make it consistent. So now, whether you're talking to someone that I coach, or you're talking to someone who's in the nonprofit organization where I serve on their board, or you talk to my children, you're going to hear similar messages about who I am and how I show up.
So how does that and I agree, I don't even know how to be somebody else. I mean, I just can't. I don't know how people do, but what I will say is code switching and like how that and being yourself, like there is like some friction there, right?
There can absolutely be some friction for people of color or people who are, let's just say, different in some way than what may be seen as the majority or the norm, right? And so we feel like we do have to make a little bit of a shift. Now, I'm going to tell you, bring your full yourself to work, but maybe not your whole, complete, full, entire
Right.
Saturday afternoon self.
Right.
There's a difference between being fake and being appropriate for the situation, right?
Right.
So be you, but appropriate for the situation. So if you invite me to a pool party and I show up in a ball gown, that would be inappropriate for the situation.
Right. Right.
Conversely, if you invite me to a cocktail party and I show up in a bathing suit, not appropriate. So be you. My hair is how it is. My style is what it is, but I'm going to be dressed appropriate for the environment that I'm going into. If I'm talking to my 5-year-old granddaughter, I'm going to use different words than if I'm talking to someone that's an executive that I'm coaching. But who I am, what I'm trying to deliver, the value, the impact should be the same.
Yeah.
If how you speak or how you dress is going to detract from your ability to have the brand message that you want, that's when you consider, how do I adjust this? So I think of it as it's like accessories, right? You
Yeah.
can put on jewelry, you can take it off, but that doesn't change who I am at the core.
Yeah. No, that's like such good advice because there is like that friction of showing up as your authentic self, but then having to code switch. And one of the things I said, I had to ask myself, well, how do I act if I'm code switching? What am I doing the other way? What am I switching from? You know what I mean? I had to like, and a lot of that is like, oh yeah, I wouldn't be like completely cursing at work or like I wouldn't be in meetings, say, things I would say to my husband or my kids or like, sit down. I mean, I ain't talking like that to nobody, So there is a friction there and it is hard to like shift. Now let's shift to self and like, climbing the ladder can be exciting, but it can be exhausting if we're not intentional about taking care of ourselves. And so what did you learn about maintaining the balance during your journey, the personal, professional balance and self-care?
Yeah, it's so important. And I have a little bit different perspective, I think, maybe than some, because I often hear my clients will ask me about work-life balance and how do you juggle all of the things. And what I say is this: you're not trying to have work and life and have them balance. Forget about that. That doesn't exist.
And
You
yeah.
want, you want to have a balanced life. It's all your life. And you get to decide based on, again, knowing who you are and what matters to you and what's most important for you in the season that you're in. You always are in control of making a decision about where you put your energy, your effort, your focus at any point in time. And that should align with what you value, what goals you're working toward, what matters most to you. So, there are times, if you're doing that, if you're aligning your life to your values, work is just one component of your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much energy am I willing to give to work at this season? The answer to
Right.
that question may look very different depending on what stage you are in your career or in your life, right? If you're a new mom, you have an infant at home that you're nursing, right? You may need to give more time to the home aspect of your life, to the family aspect of your life than to work.
Yeah.
If you're past that stage, like I am, where my kids now are adults and I have grandkids, I can give more time to work than I would have been able to do when my kids were younger and I was carting them around to their sporting events and all of that. The key is being true to yourself. That's why I say it starts with being. Who are you?
Who are you? Yes.
Life you want to live? What is the legacy that you want to have? And are you living now in such a way that you're creating this legacy that you want to have, that you're building the brand that you want to have? Do you want to be known as the person who was always available to work? No matter
Yeah.
when work called, she answered. Is that the brand you want to have?
No.
Not judging, but if that's the brand you want to have, then you're going to behave in a certain way because that's the brand you want. However, if you want to have a different brand, if you want to be known as someone who had a very balanced life, who was there for what mattered, who showed up for family and friends, but did a kick-ass job at work, you're going to make different decisions.
Yeah. 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 So how do you help your clients avoid burnout while still kind of chasing their goals? Because burnout is real. We know that. We just talked about, like, and we know that when you do a good job, you get more work. So like how do you control or manage or navigate burnout?
Yeah, it first things first, it is knowing when to say no and what things you want to say no to, because truly there are only 24 hours in a day. We all get the same 24 hours. It's how do you choose to use your 24?
Yeah.
You're in control of that. Back to this balance thing. So often for the leaders that I'm coaching, because they are high performing executives who are, moving along the career ladder, or they're running their businesses, and sometimes both, what I say to them is, what are you going to stop doing? What are you going to stop doing? What will you no longer do? Because so often they're coming from being the person who was the doer, the I get stuff done. That was kind of how they viewed themselves. I get stuff done. If you're going to shift into leading and talk about the impact that you make, someone else may have to get some of those things done to free you up to lead, to strategize, to have a vision.
And that is so important because I am a doer too, but I'm a visionary as well. And so I have had to shift more towards the visionary side than the tactical side. Like I've had to shift more to, strategy and thinking. Like you hired me for my brain, not for me to
Yes,
make widgets. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Absolutely. So knowing what to delegate, right?
Yeah.
If you have a team, whether it's someone who reports directly to you or not, what things can be delegated, right? Let those go. What things, frankly, just shouldn't be done. Some of the things that we do out of habit because we've always done them without ever stopping to ask ourselves, does this need to be done? Do we need
Yeah.
this? And if the answer is yes, it's necessary, then the question is, who's best suited to do it? Because that may not be me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be a candidate for something that would get delegated. So that what you want to get to is the things that are left on your plate. should be those things that have the highest impact for you because they align with your values and they are supporting your brand and how you want to show up. And you enjoy doing it. I'm good at it. It's in my area of greatness. It serves my passion. These are the things that I want to do. The rest moves either to the not being done, we don't care about it, or it's being delegated to someone else, or it's set aside for a later time when I get to it. Because you can have it all. You just can't do it all.
That is like the perfect piece of advice. You can't, because that is what I think that's the balance. Even, I mean, I talk to, many women all the time, my best friends and my daughter. And I think all of us are trying to have it all, but
and do it all.
And do it all. Right. And do it all. And that is, I mean, I even had to with the podcast because I have a full-time job. So I'm like, okay, this is a full-time job. So now I have like 2 full-time things. So I had to hire an assistant on Upwork because I was like, I can't keep I can't keep this up with the schedule and I can't. So I actually had to hire somebody to take care of that and then somebody to edit my podcast. So like things I was doing myself, I was like, I have to
You can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I can't do this. I got to get somebody else ask somebody else to do it. I need somebody else to do
all of that has to be on the table. So a lot of my leaders who are moms and wives and they're an executive or working their way up the ladder, it can feel overwhelming and be burnout because they're doing all the stuff at work and then they come home and need to be available for their children and available for their spouse. And there's the laundry and the dishes and the getting the stuff ready for the school projects and all the things. I'm like, but wait, time out. There's a list. All of these things need to be done.
Yep,
but you don't have to be the one to do them. There are services that do laundry. There's administrative assistants, virtual assistants, whether your job affords you one or not. Maybe you just need one for the stuff at home. Can you hire someone else to come in to do the cleaning? Because you don't have to spend all weekend cleaning. Let someone else do that. Mm-hmm. My husband and I we now subscribe to a meal service, Hungry Root, because I hate grocery shopping.
Oh, you do Hungry Root? Do you like it?
I do like it.
Okay.
And he would do the grocery shopping because I don't like it. And then he'd buy all this stuff and we can't decide what we really want to cook. And so we end up throwing away food. I'm like, wait a minute, there is a better way. Find a service, an app, a solution for whatever your challenge is. Now it's easier. We get the stuff delivered. There's a menu that we know exactly what we're going to make and it's easy. Everybody's happy because we need to eat. We need groceries.
Yeah, you
don't have to be the one to do grocery shopping.
That's so funny. I love grocery shopping. It's the weirdest thing. I love it. My mom says that I walk around the grocery store like I'm on supermarket sweepstakes. She does. That's what she says. I love grocery shopping, but nobody else, normal person likes grocery shopping. I love grocery shopping.
There are people who enjoy that. I have a good friend who's like, I like to see what new products they have in the store.
Yeah, I want to see the shelf and what's going on. And
so again, but play to your strengths. So if you enjoy that, then that's something maybe you want to keep on your list. I don't like it. So I've outsourced that to somebody else.
Well, you know what? I did outsource. So I like it. I don't have time to do it. So what I do is Instacart. So yeah. I do Instacart. It saves me time. And listen, as my life has gotten more busy, complicated, I'm an executive. I've got this going on and I've got a 13-year-old. My daughter was getting married. You have all these things. I had to get somebody to bring the groceries. I don't even have time to go get the groceries. Right. So yeah, I did outsource that.
It's making those decisions. There's all the things that need to be done, but who is best suited to do them so that you can free up time on your calendar for those things that only you can do. There's some things that you can't delegate to someone else. You can't outsource the wife duties now.
No, yeah. You can't.
Yeah. So if that's important to you, then how do you move some other things off your plate so you're available for that? Right?
Yeah.
If you're the leader of the team, you can't outsource leading your team or someone who's setting the vision for your team.
The strategy. Can you do it? Yeah.
That's something you can't. You have to do that work. That means you have to create space in your calendar so that you are available to do that work.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we wrap up, we're gonna do rapid fire questions. But before that, is there anything you want to share with the audience? Any pieces of advice? Anything that you find to be totally important in this executive glow up?
Yes, I am going to say this, and it will sound self-serving, but it is absolutely the truth. I promise you. Get yourself a coach.
It is true.
Get yourself a coach. This is what I'm going to say about that. If you think about any industry, any field, you think about anyone who's great and operates at the highest level of what they do, I can guarantee you they all have a coach and sometimes multiple coaches. And you
Hmm.
don't wait until you become great to get a coach. You have coaches all along the way who help you to become better. The fastest way to get from where you are to where you want to be is with help, and a coach is should be one of those roles on your personal success team. You need your sponsor. We talked about that. You absolutely need to have a coach on your team to help you. You need a mentor, maybe even multiple mentors as part of your team. So build your personal success team, your board of advisors, mentor, sponsor, coach, colleagues, just peers that can support you. You need those people on your team as well. And then you need someone I'm going to call a hero, and that is find somebody who has already done the thing that you're
You want to
trying to
do.
do, right? Find them, whether you know them personally or not. It could be a famous person that you never meet. They don't even have to be alive, but their life or their life's work is something that you aspire to, and you can learn from their story and their journey.
For sure. And that is that part right there. I literally have a girl crush on Fawn Weaver, who has Uncle Nearest. I just love her. I just like freaking love her. And so I did actually reach out to her, and I was like, shoot. I mean, like my girlfriend said, people dropping people's DM for less ROI. So why not, you know? And of course she gets the question a lot, will you mentor? But okay, she can't mentor me, but you know what I do? I follow her success. I follow all the things she does to get there, because I want to be there. Like that is my next success. I mean, I have the executive success and I've gotten there, and everyone's like, oh, well, do you want your next role to be, the CA? Well, not really, because I kind of do that type of work now. It's not like I don't do that now. So I want my next piece of work to be things I'm passionate about, which is the podcast and personal success coaching. I study her. I'm like, okay, what is she doing? How's she doing it?
Yeah.
And that is my hero. That is my hero. Her and Beyonce.
There you go. Great. And the final thing I'm going to say about that, if you hire a coach or some other professional who's giving you advice about how to navigate to where you want to be, please, ma'am, please, sir, don't tell them why you're not going to do what they're telling you should do. Because if your way worked, you wouldn't need them.
It's true. It is true. It is true. That's why you have to
In
be
other words,
open.
be
Yeah.
open, be coachable, right? Because what they're asking or suggesting may sound counterintuitive, but if they are where you aspire to be, odds are they might know what they're talking about. That's all.
All right. I love it. Well, no overthinking. You just got to go with your gut, the rapid fire. All right. Okay. What's one career lesson you learned the hard way?
Woo! Maintain connections.
All right. One book every aspiring executive should read.
The leadership secrets of Jesus.
Love it. Biggest myth about executive success.
Woo! That you can get there on your own, that you're self-made.
That's crazy. What's one thing you do daily to maintain your glow up?
Ooh, pray.
And if you could give one piece of advice to the next generation of women leaders, what would it be?
Trust your gut.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, everything with us today. I know so many women will walk away from the conversation feeling more confident about pursuing their own executive glow up. Ladies, if you're ready to take your career and confidence to the next level, be sure to check out this episode and share it with another queen who's on their glow up journey. Remember, you already have what it takes to lead. Now it's time to own it. Until next time, keep showing up, glowing up, and owning your crown.